If your photos are looking a bit bland and you're not getting excited checking them out after you took them, probably you should start thinking differently. My name is Dennis Black, and in this video I will show you 5 things which will help you take more captivating photos. Once you learn the basic rules and can master a well put together technically correct image, you can begin to think outside of the box and learn how to break a few of those rules. For this tutorial we will focus on how to shoot and think differently and stop taking the same boring photos. Tip number 1 is looking for an interesting framing for your shot. Alongside composition and the rule of thirds, framing is one of the key elements of photography that every artist needs to know. It's a type of compositional photo technique where one or more photo elements are framed by another element. It's a good way to add interest to the photo, lead the viewer's eye towards the middle of the frame, and emphasize a subject. It can take any shape or form as long as it frames and adds focus to the intended subject or scene. It can be anything from natural frames like rock formations and trees, or man-made ones like windows and tunnels. Whatever shape or form, as long as it helps bring focus to your intended subject, it's bound to create a more aesthetically pleasing image. Tip number 2 is looking for leading lines. Leading lines refer to a compositional technique where the viewer's attention is drawn to lines that lead to the main subject of the image. A leading line paves an easy path for the eye to follow through different elements of a photo. Usually these lines start at the bottom of the frame and guide to the eye upward and inward, from the foreground of the image to the background. The easiest place to find a leading line is on road. When leading lines such as roads connect the foreground to the background of a scene, they help create depth which draws the viewer into the image. Alright guys, we've got another example. We've got an Anzac Bridge at the background, and this particular road is our leading line that leads to the subject. Leading lines are all around us in cities and in nature. Your job as the photographer is to find them and arrange them in your photograph so that they lead towards something, even if that something is infinity. Tip number 3 is to use a foreground. When you're composing a photo and you feel that it's looking a little too flat, placing something in the foreground can instantly add a sense of depth. Exactly how this is done depends entirely on your subject and on your own creative decisions. This can mean physically adding something to your scene if you're able to, but most of the time you'll be looking for objects in the surrounding area that would make an interesting foreground and changing your perspective either by moving your camera higher, lower, or to one side to incorporate those elements inside of the frame. Tip number 4 is looking for reflections. Reflections can be hard to capture because they involve you looking at your perspective differently or in less traditional sense than you normally would. Reflections show up often in the most impressive landscape photos. The iconic ones are beautiful snow-capped mountains with a lake in front acting as a mirror. But reflections are not only great for landscapes. Even in street photography or architecture, you can create stunning images with pools of water after a downpour. It's not difficult to find inspiration for reflection photography. Alright guys, here's a quick example. I was walking around the city and saw that beautiful view, and I thought that could be a cool spot for the photo, but how can I make it a little bit more interesting? So I spent some time to explore the area a little bit. What I found is these glass windows, and I thought it could be a cool prop for the reflection shot. So here we go, here's the results. Tip number 5 is perspective. You can really have a lot of fun with changing your normal perspective in photography. When you learn to see things and capture images from a totally different perspective, you can produce some really interesting, beautiful, and sometimes powerful images that will draw the viewer's eye into the photo. You can even evoke a certain emotion just by playing with a few different angles. Changing perspective will most likely take you out of your comfort zone, as far as positioning yourself and your camera. But when you begin to look at different objects, subjects, and the world in general on a totally different level, you can take your photography skills to a whole new level. While tips can definitely help improve your photos, it is through self-practice and discovery that you can finally achieve your own style. After all, an image is not always judged or measured by how many elements or techniques are used. It is the photographer's instinct that helps decide how a photo will turn out and affect its viewers. By simply capturing images your own way and experimenting with the use of different photo techniques, you may just come up with some of the most interesting compositions. That's all guys, that was my 5 tips for shooting and thinking differently. So just try new things guys, don't be afraid, step out of your comfort zone and go create new content. Wishing you guys a creative strength in this new year. Peace for everyone.